get in gear and drive straight out of the city, maybe run to
So a little commentary for the trip, so you don't have to listen to 700 and its nonsense. I'm about, let's say, 10 minutes into the drive, probably at this point. Waiting to get on to 275 West off of Ward's Corner so that the trip officially starts. Unfortunately, I'm stuck in traffic right at the exit, so I'm hoping that this is short-lived and that once I make it to the highway, things will clear up. If not, that's gonna stink, because I decided not to go to the bank and deposit some of the cash I had with me because I didn't want to wait until they opened at 9 a.m. If there's traffic, I might as well have just waited, deposited the cash, and then gone on my way once it cleared up. So we'll see here in a second what it ends up being like if I ever get a chance to make it up to this light. See, I predict at least 2 more light changes. We're going to see it go green 2 more times before I'm able to turn onto the exit. We'll see if I'm right. Alright, here's one green light. Look, already, the minivan at the front of the line moving slow as can be. Well, we might make it on just one light. We might make it. Time will tell. We did it, but it's already not a good sign. The ramp is backed up. I see traffic going east is just fine. Traffic going west, it's not looking good for us, ladies and gents. Maybe it's just because there's 2 entrances to the exit up here. It might just be that there's a little congestion from cars coming from both sides. I don't know. I think that might be wishful thinking, but we'll see. And I don't know if you can see it in the camera yet. You should be able to now. Not moving exactly what I would call fast. Not moving. Oh, maybe it is a bit of a standstill. I don't know. It might be a little bit before we can get on. So the sign up here, it says prohibited. Pedestrians, farm machinery, and animals. Kind of a downer because since this is my grand journey out west, I originally envisioned it being on the back of a horse. Not really, but that would be cool, wouldn't it? Be pretty awesome. Ride a horse across the country. Bet not too many people can say that or say they did that. So I could add my name to the list of the few, or maybe the first. I doubt it, but maybe. Don't really know how to ride a horse. I mean, I know the basics, I guess. I know a little bit how to ride a horse. Like, I know you pull to stop, you kick to go forward, you pull to the right to get it to turn right, and the left, and whatnot. I mean, I've watched enough TV. I got a pretty good idea how to ride a horse. Yeah, this looks terrible. Oh my gosh. This looks horrible. There is a truck to my left. Can't see it. In the camera, I can see it. It's a moving truck. It says Wolfpack Transport. Now, I feel like that's a good sign. Reason it's a good sign, I have a couple goals on this trip. My number one goal, more than anything, is to not let anxiety or fear or anything take over, or missing my wife or anything like that. I don't want that to keep me from completing this journey, because this is something I've talked about doing for forever. Always wanted to go on a big road trip. Always wanted to go hike in the national parks. So this is kind of going to be it's going to be a 2-for-1 deal, I think. I really wish I could have done it with my wife. She has school. I have the free time. It's just the way that, the cards fell. But anyways, so yeah, that's my first goal. First goal is to try to make it out here and make it back in my allotted, little personal mental time frame, and not chicken out and come back earlier than I'm supposed to. Second goal, well, you can see the Wolfpack truck ahead of me now, so I'm not lying. Second goal, though, is to take a picture, or at least see. I don't even have to take a picture. I at least just want to see an elk in the wild. And why, you may ask? Elk are my all-time favorite animals. I think elk are awesome. They're like really giant, smart deer. They're very cool. They're not stupid like moose are. I don't know if moose are actually stupid, but they give off that impression. Elk, they seem very gracious and, majestic as they, travel through the wilderness. I have like an image in my mind of how they look. It's kind of like the sun shining on them. They're coming out of the trees. Their hot air's blowing in the cold morning. Like, that's probably pretty nerdy, but yeah, I think I like elk. I think they're pretty cool. Anyways, to kind of relate this to the Wolfpack truck, I would like to see a wolf in the flesh. 2 weeks ago, really random encounter. A lady that lived nearby to my house had a pet, I assume a pet, timber wolf, and she had it in her car at United Dairy Farmers, and I was totally thrown for a loop when I saw it. Didn't expect to see that at United Dairy Farmers. Seen some other questionable things there. Wolf's not one of them until now, but I'd like to see one in the wild. So I think that the Wolfpack truck maybe is a good sign. It's some foreshadowing of what I'm going to see in the future. Maybe I will see a pack of wolves when I arrive. Maybe a pack of wolves will devour me as I travel solo. Don't quite know for sure, but we'll see. Time will tell. Time will tell. So my GPS here. GPS is telling me that we're on west for the next 24 miles, and then we'll be transitioning on to south. I have exactly 1 day of travel time left on my GPS, so we'll see. Going by that theory, we would be there about this time tomorrow. However, this doesn't take into account the fact that I'll be, sleeping in my truck, or I don't know, maybe I'll get a hotel. We'll see. I've got enough money to do it. If I can find one cheap, I just, feel bad spending more money than I need to if I can rough it out in my truck. I got a sleeping bag, a pillow, so just have to hope no one tries to rob me or abduct me or anything. That would not be cool. Not cool. Yeah. So I guess to save you guys, whoever ends up watching this, might just be me, might be family, might be, I don't know, anybody, I guess. To save you from the boringness of me just driving through slow traffic, I'm going to cut the video here. And hopefully I'll pick up a little bit later in the day once I've actually made some progress. Maybe I'll be outside of Ohio or, Indiana, the tri-state area, and we can get some different scenery or something like that. I don't know. We'll see. But, yeah, time will tell. As of now, 8:09 a.m. in the morning, the trip has officially started. We are on the highway, and we are moving. See you guys. All right, let's try this again. So, we are one state down. We are now in Indiana. Very foggy in Indiana. It's only about... it's 8:43, so it only took about half an hour to get from Loveland to Indiana. I've got about 87 miles to Indianapolis, so that's going to be probably about another hour and a half driving. Still got a full tank of gas. Speed limit is now 70, thank God. It's cool, like fog over the farm over there. I don't know how well you can see that. For some reason, my GoPro does not like to film sometimes when it's on the windshield mount. I don't know if it's like the bumps or what's happening, but it seems like maybe the bumps are turning the camera off, or they're knocking the SD card loose. So I did like 2 different takes before this one, and I have no idea what actually got recorded versus what didn't. So I don't know. I took it off the mount, and I'm just kind of holding it over the wheel here. You can see me. You can see me driving. I don't know how much you want to look at me. I don't really like to look at me that much, so we'll just go back to the road. Let's see. We're coming up on St. Leon. All right, sounds like a cool name. So another sign that this might be, a good trip if you believe in signs. Passed a truck that had Destination Excellence written on the back of it. Destination Excellence. So I thought that was kind of cool. Here's to hoping that the destination ends up being excellent wherever my various destinations may be. It's pretty much all I got right now. Indiana is Lincoln's boyhood state. That was listed on the sign. Did not realize that. Somewhere probably in the dark recesses of my mind, I knew that, but didn't realize it immediately until I saw the Welcome to Indiana sign. So President Lincoln, send some good vibes my way from the grave, or whatever, wherever you are. Trying to enjoy this beautiful country that you helped found throughout the years. So maybe, like I said, send me some good vibes. Maybe help me enjoy what you intended me and the rest of the world to enjoy. I guess. I don't know. Kind of rambling here. Don't got much to talk about. Indiana is not exactly the most interesting state. It's kind of just like Ohio, in my opinion. Maybe even a little more flat, a little more corn. Since we're on the eastern half of the state, we've got some hills right here that we're kind of going through. But I'm expecting it to flatten out before too long, and I think Illinois is going to be the same for the most part. Never actually been out west. That's a lie. Just about 2 months ago, my wife and I, we flew out to Las Vegas on a whim, and we stayed with my mom at the Flamingo Hotel. She was there on business. So that was my first trip out west. I got to experience Las Vegas and parts of Nevada. We drove to Arizona to see the Grand Canyon. Didn't actually get to see it. because it was too expensive. The place we went to get to the park itself, it was another 3-hour drive. We had a rental car. We were tired. It had already been a couple hours in the car at that point, so kind of got to see a little bit of it from the distance, but didn't really get to see it. Not what I wanted to see. So yeah. So anyways, like I was saying, that was my first out west experience for sure. So this will be my second. This is all going to be, in the car driving, so there's going to be a lot more to see. My trip to Vegas, like I said, it was a very last minute thing, much like this trip. But I was in an airplane. It was dark outside. Didn't really get to see a whole lot while I was, out there. So this will be interesting. Like I said, I don't really know what to expect. I mean, I know what I've read. I know what I've seen from maps and, heard from other people. But this will be the first time that I really get to experience this for myself. And I get to kind of see, what there is out there. What lies ahead in each of the states I'm going to travel through. So we'll try to keep you updated as we go through each state. I don't know, hopefully I see something interesting that I can talk about as I go through each one, so this isn't completely boring. I think in the meantime, I'm kind of surprised. I'm actually going to have to charge the GoPro a little bit. I have the extended battery pack on it, but it looks like it's already down to a 50% charge even with the battery pack, so I don't know how much film time that's going to give me. It's been years since I've used the GoPro for much of anything, so I'm kind of unfamiliar with what the battery charge rates are like. Fortunately, back when I did do a lot of GoPro filming, I purchased like 8 or 10 or something, extra batteries. So I have plenty of batteries. I have a 64 gigabyte card. It's somewhere in the ballpark of about 16 hours of footage. Worst case comes, I've got another 64 gigabyte card, so we can fill up a lot of stuff with footage. I'm hoping to save as much as I can for the camera, though I plan on trying to take a lot of pictures while I'm there. Hopefully there's a lot of really interesting things I can take pictures of and cool shots that I can set up. So we'll see, but GoPro will be fine. It might be kind of annoying. I don't know how well if you'll be able to see it, but I've got my whole little charging station set up down here. It's got my phone plugged in, and right now it's got my Fitbit charger plugged in, which I'll probably switch that out because I don't need to charge my Fitbit for any reason, at least for another 2 days. So yeah, we'll be able to plug it in, hopefully get some charge time out of it as we travel off camera through the states to make sure I get a lot of good video footage. I think the reason I'm doing this, I was out with my mother-in-law yesterday. I actually went to REI with her over in Rookwood to get a first aid kit, just so I had it in my day pack for the trip. I don't know what to expect. Better to be prepared. Better to have and not need than to need and not have, as so many would say. I don't know, it sounds like something my uncle would say or something like that. But anyways, yeah, I was out with my mother-in-law yesterday, and she was kind of picking my brain a little bit about the trip and what I was planning on doing, and she was like, are you gonna journal? And I was like, oh man, I don't know, how do you journal during a car ride? Am I gonna stop every 2 hours and be like, oh look, I saw Destination Excellence on a truck, or I might even remember it. If 2 hours goes by, there's a lot of stuff to fill in. But I did like the idea of journaling it, so got the camera. Thought that would be a good idea, just to kind of film. Like I said, might be the only one that sees this. Maybe I'll show my family, maybe I'll show my friends. I do have a YouTube channel, so there's a good chance it'll probably be up on there, and I'll get random people from across the world will comment on it, like some of my other videos, and be like, you're stupid, you shouldn't be allowed to drive. I don't know, somebody said that once. I have I have a drone that actually has a GoPro mount. It's the DJI Phantom. I used to use it for my old job every once in a while. Haven't used it in years. Should. Haven't done it though. I thought it would be funny to post a video of myself, a compilation, if you will, of me learning how to fly it. So there was tons of wrecks, you know. There was one point in time I had it about 150 feet in the air, and one of the lugs that held the propellers on literally came loose, shot off, and the entire chassis came falling down to the earth. It was okay. I mean, it made it. I mean, the GoPro can withstand like what, a 22 rifle shot or something. So that GoPro was fine. The Phantom was fine. The propellers were a little banged up, but I was able to fix those pretty easily. But I posted it. I thought it would be funny, you know, at least for me to look back on and be like, wow, look, Jordan, you're god awful, you know, at flying these little beasts. And I got people, you know, from all over the world, like Russia and Iraq, for whatever reason. I have a lot of people that watch my videos from Iraq. It's kind of weird, come to think of it. But anyways, they were like, you're stupid, you shouldn't own a Phantom, go kill yourself. So I don't know, maybe they'll tell me to go kill myself again because I'm filming my car ride. So I don't know, we'll see. You gotta laugh about stuff like that. It's just goofy. But I am about to pass through construction. There is a minimum $1,000, I think it said minimum, maybe it was max, I don't know, I only kind of looked at the dollar amount, but it said there was a $1,000 fine for speeding, and it looks like I'm already going 60 something, so I'm trying to slow myself here. But to make sure that I'm being safe through the work site I'm about to go through, and I don't put anybody's lives at jeopardy, I am going to stop filming. I will probably pick up when I hit the next state, unless I see something unbelievably fascinating in the next few hours. So until next time, we'll see you guys. Alright, so just a small update, I guess. I'm currently still in Indiana, almost to Illinois. Haven't quite made it there yet. It's 10:35, so it hasn't been terribly long since the last video. Reason I wanted to make said video was because of the construction in Indiana, and the speed limits are some of the most confusing areas I've ever driven in. I mean, I'll let you see. I mean, this isn't even bad. Obviously, you know, you've got your cones up on the road, or on the side of the road rather, and you can see they've paved it. There's some, you know, heavy duty machinery up there on the left. The thing that's so confusing is every so often it will, you know, say work construction zone, and it'll list, you know, it'll say go 55 miles an hour, and then, you know, you'll travel about a quarter mile, and all of a sudden you'll see a new sign. It's not a speed limit sign like this one right here, it's different, but you'll see a new construction sign that basically says go 70, and you're like, okay, I'll go 70 then, you know, I'm not gonna not go fast if I have the opportunity. So you'll ratchet it back up to about 70 miles an hour, and you'll make it, I don't know, another quarter mile, and all of a sudden it'll say 55 miles an hour, so you've slowed down. Then it'll have like 10 signs that say 45 miles an hour, and so you're like, all right, I gotta slow down. But it's like one of those legal documents, you know, where it has really, you know, fine print at the bottom. Only in this case, the fine print is 45 miles an hour when flashing. And this comes up, you know, maybe even sooner than a quarter mile. I mean, it's so frequent, it's ridiculous, and I can't figure out how fast or how slow I need to go. Every time I speed up, I'm like, okay, cool, I can, you know, hit 70 again. In the next minute, I gotta slow down, and it's like, oh, it's so annoying. But there's, like, you know, some scenery. There's a cool little picturesque barn. This is my first time traveling, like, really deep into Indiana. I've been to the eastern parts, you know, done the fireworks thing before, but I've never actually driven through it. Or at least if I have, this is the first time I'm old enough to recall doing so. Basically, my impression of Indiana is really crappy roads. The roads are a mess. I feel like I'm driving off-road. So it's like a good thing, you know, almost that I've got my truck. Second impression would be that every town I've passed through thus far seems like something out of a Stephen King novel. They're all kind of creepy. I don't know if it's just because I'm on that, you know, that highway where it only passes through the small towns or, you know, what have you. But I passed through one that was like Batesville or something, and it had this cemetery that was just downright spooky looking. I mean, it was weird. Just didn't remind me of your normal cemetery. Definitely looks like, you know, a cemetery out of some kind of really crappy, you know, B movie or what have you. I don't know. Plus the fact that the town's name was Batesville, the Batesville Cemetery. You know, Bates lends itself into, you know, the Bates Motel and Norman Bates. You know, so there was definitely some creepiness there. I don't know how much I like Indiana in that regard. I only, you know, drove a little bit through Indianapolis, so I didn't get to see much of the city. So I can't comment on that, but otherwise the roads are pretty boring. And just to add to the spookiness, I don't know if you're going to be able to see this in the GoPro. I have no idea what this is going to look like, but I've got like a, what do they call it, like a murder of crows or hawks or whatever, you know, that are up there just circling. They're circling, so yeah, they very well could be, you know, circling me or, you know, someone else who's perished in this very creepy little journey I'm on through Indiana. So yeah, that's my update. Once again, you know, here we go. I'm getting ready to go through construction. The lane ends, so I got to get over. I'm stuck behind a camper now. I think, yeah, it's a camper. Vengeance. I don't know why you'd call it Camper Vengeance, but I don't know, maybe you had some really traumatic camping experiences as a child, and now that you're an adult, you know, you're taking your vengeance against those camping trips by ensuring that, I don't know, I'm going to stop while I'm ahead. I don't even think I'm ahead. But, I mean, if you look, again, I don't know if you can see it, but once again, we've got just this giant flock of, you know, birds overhead, and it's just spooky, and I don't know where I just went. This is what I get for not paying attention. I think I just took an exit for Crawfordsville, which was unintended. Yes, that is exactly what I did. I am going to Crawfordsville. The road is closed, keeping in line with the just unbelievably annoying construction. So I'm going to go ahead and cut the video here because I got to get back on the highway now. This is the first time I've made a wrong turn, so I'm pretty happy with myself in that regard. So, yep, got a four-way up here to get onto the highway, so I'm going to try to pay attention and not cause a wreck. So, all right, so we've made it to Illinois. It's, gosh, not that long since the last time I filmed. It's only 11/17. Illinois is the land of Lincoln, whereas Indiana is the state of Lincoln's boyhood. Kind of feel like Indiana was trying to cash in on that because there was nothing even remotely interesting in that state aside from the corn, the never-ending stalks of corn, and perhaps the quaint Stephen King-like towns that I passed through. I guess you could say that their road work was interesting. I mean, that was pretty much like an obstacle course for your vehicle. I don't know. Let's see. So I think we're going... So we got 129 miles to Peoria, Illinois. So we're only 3 hours into the trip. I feel like I'm making pretty good... Or 3.5 hours. But I feel like I'm making pretty good time so far. As far as the landscape goes, it seems about the same. The trees look a little different, which is kind of cool, like different than what you're used to seeing in Ohio, Indiana region. Again, I'm not that far into the state yet, so I can't say one way or the other. Also stuck behind this Walmart truck, which I believe the speed limits in Illinois are the same as in Indiana, so Bye Walmart, bye Sam's Club, we're flying past you. Yeah. So yeah, we'll still make some decent time. I'm glad that the speed limit's the same. I don't have to slow back down to 65. Yeah, I mean, like I said, making pretty good time. Haven't heard from too many people yet today. Just my mom, who wanted to let me know that the wilderness has things like bears and wolves and moose and mountain lions. I don't know if that was like, hey, don't do this because these creatures might eat you, or if it was more like, hey, there's some cool stuff out there, check it out. I think it was the former, personally. I think she is pretty confident that I'm going to get robbed or get eaten by an animal, or maybe an animal will rob me and then eat me. I don't know. Never done this before, so I guess we'll find out if animals are capable of robbing and eating you all in one go. If that's how I go, I don't think I will be too mad, because being eaten by an animal is it's a lot more interesting, I think, than, dying from old age or a heart attack or whatever. I mean, how many of those do you hear every day? So-and-so passed away, blah, blah, blah. No, it's pretty metal if you get eaten by an animal. Like, yeah, Jordan, he got eaten by a bear. He's dead. Bear ate him. Yeah. Or, devoured by a pack of wolves, would be interesting. Funny enough, I'm going to try and not be as funny here for a minute, but prior to, making this drive, I mean, obviously I wanted to go out west. I wanted to, try to stay north, just to see some of the stuff up there as much as I could. But I read about, like, wolf attacks through history and bear attacks through history, just kind of for fun. And bear attacks definitely more common. Wolf attacks not so much. There's been, well, I shouldn't say very few, because that would be a lie, but there haven't been, like a ton of documented cases where someone is just eaten by a wolf. I mean, it's been pretty infrequent. Most of the time, people are stalked. Sometimes they might, get attacked, and maybe a little injured, but not typically. It's not typical for people to be eaten by wolves from the research I've done. Bears, on the other hand, bears are more likely. But typically the only time you get eaten or hurt or wounded by a bear is if you're doing something stupid, like that one guy who used to go live with bears out west, wherever he was, until they devoured him. Yeah, doing something stupid very well may get you eaten by a bear. Just not being cautious, I guess. Not making your presence known, and not wandering too deep into bear territory, things like that. That's typically, why you get eaten by a bear. I think a lot of it comes down to people just underestimating wildlife and what they're capable of. Fortunately, although I've never really, done this whole West thing, I've never been out there in the thick of it with any wildlife or anything like that. I feel like I have enough common sense to know, like, hey, don't poke the bear, as my cousin always would say. Don't poke the bear. Don't irritate the animals. Don't be intrusive. Go and observe, and just don't disturb them, I guess. Don't be a jerk to the bears or the wolves or the mountain lions or what have you. Again, if I get eaten, that's obviously what fate had intended for me, and again, it's a pretty cool way. Like, on my gravestone, I definitely would get here lies Jordan, eaten by bears, 2018, death 2018, eaten by bears. So yeah, that'd be one way to go, for sure, with that. So yeah, and I kind of wish that I got a chance to film a little bit more when I was in Indiana. There wasn't really anything for me to film. You know, you got to complain about the construction. Of course, as soon as I stopped filming, I drove through like one of the most atrocious, you know, construction sites ever. The bridge was completely gone, and it really looked like they had just put pavement in on certain parts of the highway just so you could navigate around all of the other pavement, you know, that they were tearing up. So that was kind of funny. Not funny, it was mostly irritating. It was mostly irritating. I was not a huge fan of the construction. So far, I mean, like I said, I literally just passed the Illinois state line. I was going to try to film the sign. I couldn't get the camera up in time to do that, though. But Illinois doesn't seem as bad thus far. I'm hoping that it stays that way. If there was wood somewhere in the vehicle, I would knock on it. What does this say? Oh my gosh. This is called Kickapoo State Park. Kickapoo. I just passed Kickapoo. Never heard that before. Been through some weird towns, not just on this trip, but like during southern travels, down to Florida, and, you know, Mississippi and such. I've seen some weird town names for sure, weird, you know, places, but Kickapoo, that was definitely one for the books. Kickapoo. I guess, you know, I don't know, you kick your poo or something. I mean, there's the turnoff for the park right there, I assume. Kickapoo Park. Can't see it now because I'm going underneath, or I'm going beneath the defilade here on both sides. But yeah, Kickapoo Park. I don't know if I'm going to forget that. That might become a bit of a theme throughout the trip. So we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, I can just show you more of my fantastic view as I drive. I'm actually thinking about sticking to adhesive pads. I brought a ton of stuff for the GoPro that I've never used before, and I've got some adhesive pads. I obviously have my mount up here on the windshield that came with the truck. I've been hesitant to use it. I might, you know, use it again when I stop or something like that and kind of mess around with it. I don't know. I haven't decided yet. But I was thinking about putting an adhesive mount like right here on the dash and just setting the GoPro up, you know, kind of like right here to film me while I drive. So I'm not, you know, holding the camera with one hand, which probably isn't very safe, but I'm doing it anyway. We'll see. I don't know. I'm kind of nervous because I don't know how sticky the adhesive pads are, or if they're gonna like tear up my dash. That would be, you know, not very cool. I wouldn't be happy about that. At some point, my second GoPro, I am gonna mount it on the cover, the bed cover of my truck. I actually did put an adhesive mount there yesterday. Didn't put the GoPro on right away because I wasn't sure how like secure and stable it was going to be. Again, I've never really used the adhesive mount before. I came out this morning and, you know, the dew, it looked like it had rained because the dew was so thick on my car. But the adhesive mount held. I tugged on it. It seemed to stay in place pretty well. Now that I've been driving, I can kind of watch it in my rear view, and it's still staying there in place. I've cleaned my windshield off a few times. That was the other part of Indiana that was not cool, was freaking bugs everywhere. My windshield was just coated in dead bugs throughout. But yeah, so I cleaned the windshield. Obviously the windshield spray kind of went back there. I've hit some bumps. I've had more than my fair share of construction, and it's held on. So I think that it's probably safe to say when I do stop for lunch and gas, I will most likely, you know, stick it on there and maybe film for a little bit. I don't know. I do want to wait until I get more out in the country, I think, before I start filming what's behind me. You know, I don't even know if filming behind me is going to be very cool. It might be kind of stupid. There might not really be anything. I don't know. I thought it would be a cool perspective in regards to that, you know, filming behind you. Maybe some people will wave at me. If I ever post it on YouTube, you know, maybe they'll see themselves. I always wonder about that. It'd be kind of badass to see yourself in somebody else's video, just per chance, totally random. I don't know. Thinking aloud here. Yeah. So looking at my clock, so it's almost 11:30. I'm planning on probably stopping for lunch around noon. I've been hungry all morning. I didn't really passing some signs. Guns save a life, and it just said that over a period of like several signs. I just thought that was funny. Guns save a life. They absolutely can, just as easily as they can take one, I suppose. I don't know if you can see this that far away, but there are like those big windmill farms that generate electricity off in the distance over there. I kind of am hoping maybe I'll pass one like really close and I can film it. That would be kind of neat. Don't know if I've ever seen one up close before. Maybe I have. I don't know. Maybe I have. Maybe in northern Ohio when I've traveled up that way. But anyways, before I derail too far off point by random billboards, it's 11:30. Gonna stop for food probably around noon. I didn't eat anything for breakfast because I was just eager to get on the road and put some distance between myself and home. Gas wise, I've held up great. I don't know, like I'll try to see if you can see that there, but I mean, this is on 4 hours of driving, and I'm already this is my third state if you include Ohio. It's my third state that I've gone into, and still have just above a half a tank. I'm impressed with the truck. I thought that I was going to be needing to get gas a lot sooner. Not really sure why I thought that, because I did the same trip in the truck to Florida for my wedding when my wife and I got married down there, and we didn't need to refill until probably a quarter way, halfway through Tennessee. Almost, yeah, if I remember right, it was almost to Georgia when we needed to refill. So pretty impressed that my MPG has held out this far. I've tried to keep my speed steady, use cruise control as much as possible. I'm keeping my speed between 70 and 80 miles an hour, depending on traffic and whatever else is going on. But yeah, so I'll probably stop and get something to eat around noon, maybe a little afternoon. I got to see kind of what I come upon as I drive through this strange and foreign state. Yeah, I'll refill the tank, and we'll kind of see where things get us as we go. Yeah. Other than that, nothing really interesting. It looks basically the same as Central Ohio. The entirety of Indiana I drove through. It looks the same here in Illinois. There's farms. You can see grain mills and silos and whatnot. Farmland over here, kind of rough. Don't really know what they're growing. Doesn't look like anything I would eat. No, I thought they might be trees, like it was a tree farm, but it doesn't look like that. Doesn't look like that. No real noticeable difference. There's some different look. The trees, the overall vegetation looks a little different, but other than that, haven't seen a whole lot. There's another. That's a creepy cemetery. I don't know if I got that on film. I think I went by it too fast because I caught it at the last minute, but that was a creepy cemetery. And here's more signs. We defend your right to defend yourself. And whatever other message they tried to convey after that was covered by weeds and tall grass. So sorry about your luck. That's the funny thing. I've kind of noticed these people, like these businesses or what have you. Oh, just got a text from Mom. These businesses or whatever, they put up billboards in the middle of nowhere, which seems questionable as it is. To me, I really don't feel like that drives up business. Seems like a waste of money. But then again, what do I know? I've only worked in retail as a grunt. I never was, anything above a store manager. But the funny part about it is, regardless of how effective that marketing strategy is, putting your billboard in the middle of freaking nowhere, the funny thing is they put them up at what I guess is like the edge of a property line on farmland, and the corn, which there's tons of corn everywhere. I mean, look, there's corn, just stalks and stalks of corn everywhere you go. the corn is so high that it covers half the billboards. You can't even see whatever the message that these people are trying to convey, actually is. So I just thought that was funny. If it had been like a one-off experience, I would have just, kind of ignored it. But there was probably like 4 or 5 billboards that you just simply couldn't read the entirety of whatever message they were trying to, bring across because it was covered by corn. So, questionable marketing strategy coupled with the fact that your billboard is covered by crops. I don't know, again, just doesn't seem like a very effective marketing strategy. Get your name out there. I don't know. I would probably choose something different. That's just me, though. Yeah, so I guess I'll keep on driving here, just see where the road takes me and what I come across, and if I find something interesting, I'll bring the camera back up and keep on filming. Get another little diary or vlog or whatever you want to call it in. Geez, gosh, huge bug. I'm so tired of the bugs. I've used so much windshield wiper fluid on this trip already. It's obnoxious. I'm tired of the bugs. Go away, bugs. Stop dying on my windshield. Anyways, yep. Actually, yeah, we'll get this on film just because it's cool. There's a fly in my truck. Fly has been with me since I've left Ohio. I have tried to get Fly to exit the vehicle by rolling the windows down. Every time I think that Fly has left, he reappears about 20 minutes later. So I think the goal is to eventually get far enough away and then transplant said Fly to wherever I end up, whatever new place I come across. I think that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take Fly on a vacation. We're gonna relocate his home. Yeah, there's a windmill. Interesting, because the other one was like several windmills, off in the distance. I mean, more than several. There was dozens of windmills. This is just one. Doesn't really look like it's moving. Probably about as close as I would say I'd get to a windmill. I don't know. You don't see those. Like I said, I feel like I don't see those in Ohio. So, or at least I haven't, regularly seen one. Maybe on my way up to Northern Ohio, I've seen one. I don't know, but it's cool. It's something different. It's different. It breaks up the monotony of, oh look, more farm equipment, and hey, corn. There's corn everywhere, and now it looks like maybe we're gonna go into a construction site or something like that. So, not particularly thrilled about that. But anyways, but yeah, this is my longest running one yet. Just short of 20 minutes now. So we'll go ahead and end it here, and we'll pick back up once we come across something new or travel into a new state or what have you. So rumble strips ahead. Never seen a sign like that before. Rumble strips ahead. So here we go. Okay, it was very anticlimactic. Anyway, so alright, till next time. Alright, so I just stopped. It's about 12:30, so it's been about an hour. I just stopped in a town called Leroy, or maybe it's just Leroy, I don't know. There's a space between the L-E and the R-O-Y. But anyways, yeah, I just pulled into a Love's. I did about 14 gallons in the tank. Haven't got anything to eat, because nothing I've driven past, like McDonald's, doesn't really sound appetizing, and I'm not super hungry like I thought I was. So yeah, I guess I'm just gonna hold off on a little bit, wait until some kind of food comes along that sounds better, I guess. Yeah, so far so good. Like I said, put 14 gallons in the tank. Really only needed about 12. I was able to squeeze an extra 2 in there with enough patience. So that was good. And other than that, I'm getting back on the highway again. And that's pretty much it. Exactly like Indiana, Illinois has been very boring. There has been next to nothing to look at, to see. I'll show you in a second. Like, not even creepy, you know, Stephen King towns. Like, it's just, there's not really a whole lot going on here except corn. Should have probably expected that. Yeah, I mean, you can look for yourself. That's why we're driving along here. Just lots of corn. Lots of corn everywhere. Both sides of the road, we've got corn. So yeah, nothing really super exciting has gone on yet. I haven't really heard from anybody since earlier this morning. Didn't really bother to check my phone. Probably should have, but yeah, what the hell. Yeah, that's about it. I don't really have anything too interesting to share. Some trucks, some cars. I know there's a Hummer back there, somewhere in the rear view. There's a Hummer, if you can even see that way. Yeah, nothing really going on. So instead of just boring you with like the really monotonous landscape or forcing you to look at my face the entire time, we'll go ahead and put it on hold again until either we come across something interesting or we pass into a new state, whichever comes first. Until then, we'll see you. Alright, turn the radio. So if you look up here, finally gonna see a giant windmill in action. Boop, boop, boop. Look at it move. It moves a lot faster than I expected it to, I think. Kind of for some reason. Thought it would move slower than that. But we finally made it to Peoria. It's almost 1 o'clock home time. It's noon time here. Hasn't been long since I've gotten gas, and it, of course, as fate would have it, right after I got off the last exit where we got gas, there was another exit that came up that had more gas options, and then it actually had some food that seemed more appealing than the McDonald's that Leroy offered. So that was kind of a bummer. So I didn't end up stopping because I didn't really want to stop twice in one go. So I guess we'll just keep going until I don't know, until we need gas again. So off in the distance there, again, I don't know how well you're gonna be able to see it, but there's some more of the wind turbines. Kind of get a good view at them. Although it is boring, you know, in terms of not really a whole lot to see, it is pretty gorgeous. It's kind of faded now because the sun's probably behind a cloud, but I mean, it's very beautiful, especially when you drive out into these big open fields and you can just see the clouds stretch on and on and on for miles. It's insane. It's just cool. Yeah, it's cool. Part of me, I need to check the weather. I kind of am wondering a little bit if I might be driving into a system like a thunderstorm or just maybe some rain's not far off. It kind of looks that way to me. Again, I don't know how well that translates to the camera, but that's probably my only concern, is if I get stuck in some rain. That wouldn't be fun. But then again, it might be cool. I don't know. Can't knock anything, because all of the entire purpose of this is not only an experiment, but it's also an experience. Just trying new things and seeing what there is to see. Gosh, look at all those wind turbines. Now you can't see them as well as I can, but oh, there's just so many when they're all going. All of that's generating electricity out there, which is very neat. It's just very cool. If I wasn't driving so fast, I would see. I heard that they have some kind of noise pollution. It's not terrible, but it's definitely noticeable. I'd love to roll down the windows and try and hear, but unfortunately, with as fast as I'm going right now, about 80 miles an hour, I don't think you'd be able to hear much past the wind kind of rushing past your face, or the windows rather. Yeah, there they are again. Just big old old wind turbines, and there's so freaking many of them. It's crazy. Anyways, so left lane looks like it's closed the next 2.5 miles, so I'm gonna go ahead and cut it there. I don't want to be more distracted than I need to be, especially in another construction area, which is pretty much like what 90% of the trip has consisted of up to this point. So, until next time. Alright, so it's only been about, I don't know, half an hour probably, but I had to share this because it was too funny not to share. So my grandma called. I talked to her at like 7 this morning to let her know I was pretty much on my way. So she called me, and I guess a little backstory. My phone is a piece of junk. It barely ever works. It overheats all the time. Like, I'm surprised that it's only crapped out on me once as far as the GPS goes since I've been on the, since I've been driving since, 8 this morning or whatever it was. So sometimes it'll cut out or you can't hear very well. It sounds kind of like it's underwater or fuzzy or something. So anyways, my grandma, she calls me. This was about, 5 minutes ago. And she was just asking about the drive and where I was at and how things were and yada, yada, yada. And I wanted to tell her, I was like, you would not believe how much corn I have seen on my drive so far. Because as you've seen in some of the past clips, there's just literally it's like an ocean of corn in some places, most places on the road. And when I said it, I guess it came out fuzzy and my grandma goes, corn? Now the way I heard it was, corn? And I said, yeah. I said, there's tons of it. And she goes, well, where? And I said, it's in the fields, it's growing, they're growing it. And she goes, like billboards? I said, no. I said, corn. C-O-R-N. C-O-R-N. Corn. Corn. So this whole time I'm trying to explain to her that I'm just looking at nothing but seas of corn. She's thinking that I'm saying porn. So my poor grandmother's under the assumption right now that I'm just driving past countless billboards, which would be funny considering the last video, or a couple videos ago rather, that we discussed we discussed billboard marketing in the middle of nowhere. But yeah, she thought that I was seeing porn everywhere I was going. That is not the case. I have only seen one questionable billboard for a auto body service. That was it. Other than that, it's been a very, very PG trip thus far. Just seas of corn, not seas of porn, not billboards of porn. No, just stalks of corn. That's it. And I really got to get better about panning the camera. I just drove past a creepy cemetery, which is starting to become like, it's not unspoken because I've talked about it several times, but it's becoming a staple of the trip because I keep coming across really bizarre, backcountry cemeteries that just look like they belong in a horror movie, of the B variety most likely. Yeah, that was too funny not to share. My poor grandma thinks that I'm seeing porn when really it's just corn. I can understand the confusion, but yeah. Anyways, back to driving. Alright, so here's the next most exciting part of the drive thus far. No more corn, at least for the foreseeable future. We are driving into Peoria, which is very different than what I've been looking at for the past 5 or 6 hours or however long it's been. So I just thought that it would be cool to kind of film myself going through the town a little bit, or the city rather, because that's what it is. It's a city. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Cincinnati. Maybe not the same built-up buildings like I'm used to. There's definitely some ones that reach up high into the sky out there, but not nearly in the way that they do in Cincinnati. That's cool. I've never been out this way before. Somebody just called me and then hung up. I don't know who that was. I wasn't going to answer anyway. Yeah, downtown Peoria. And so we're gonna go over, I believe it's a river. It has to be. I don't know which river it is. Hopefully there'll be a sign up here somewhere that kind of tells me what river I'm getting ready to pass over. Illinois River. Okay, cool. That's really easy. No complaints on my end there. So yeah, there's the river. We're going under a cool bridge, similar bridge. When you're driving from Ohio into Kentucky, I think it's 471. Every time I used to go to college, I had to drive across that bridge every day. So I'm really familiar driving bridges like these. That's cool. That's a huge river. That is way bigger. I don't know if you could see it the way that I could, because I got it mounted up on the window now, but that was much wider in appearance than the Ohio River back home. That was definitely different, or larger, much larger. I think that GPS says to pretty much just stay on the highway for the next 258 miles. I want to guess, I don't know because I haven't really looked that far ahead, but I want to guess that the next 258 miles will be through Illinois, and then it'll shoot me out into whichever state it wants me to go to next. I don't know if it's Missouri or Iowa or where I'm going after this one. I've done a couple different plots on the route before I left and got a couple different answers. So we'll see what state it takes me to, and we'll see if I'm right. Like I said, I think that next 258 miles, now down to 257 miles, are probably going to be through Illinois, and they're going to shoot me out into the next state. There's Peoria High School. Cool. Not really that cool, but I don't know. I'm trying to keep an open mind to everything. Again, I mean, I'm taking this all in for the first time. War Memorial Drive. That sounds cool, like right up my alley. I wonder what it is. Oh wow. I don't know if you can see, but there's like a canal, I assume. It's either a canal or some kind of public transportation, I can't tell, that runs in the middle of the highway. I only glimpsed it for a second. The Jersey barriers that line the highway are so high that you can't really see it down in there all that well, and I didn't get to see if it had like tracks or something for maybe like a monorail or a tram or a train or what have you. If it wasn't one of those, then it would make perfect sense to be some kind of spillway, or perhaps a canal or something like that, because again, that river was giant, at least during that particular crossing point. That was like, again, it was much bigger than the Ohio River. I was like, geez, that's very wide. I honestly, I read, obviously on the sign, it said, that it was a river, but my mind kept saying, no, it has to be a lake. It has to be a lake, just because of how big it is now. It's just a big river, man. Just a really, really big river. So I'm letting this. I pulled up behind this Mercedes. This person in a Ford keeps riding my butt non-stop, and now they're not even gonna go past me. That's unbelievably annoying, especially when you're doing like 10 of the speed limit. You're trying to give them enough space, and then you switch over. So now I'm going about 20 miles slower than I was before. So now he's finally gonna pass me, or she. I guess it's a woman. Illinois driver. Okay. That's actually a good thing to bring up. I haven't had any bad experiences really with drivers in Illinois. It's not like Kentucky or Cincinnati where they're crazy and they drive like, they're nutcases running from the police or whatever. They seem to be pretty with it here. That was the first instance I've had of someone just riding me when I'm going well above the speed limit. And now they're gone. I'm going to actually swing up behind them and try to get myself back up to 80. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, that was a quick little jaunt through the town, though, or the city. I thought it was going to be a little bit more in depth. I was going to see more than I actually did. That wasn't the case. unless this is an extent. No, this isn't an extension. This has just got to be a town just outside the city, which, if I were smart, I would probably stop at and see about finding something to eat, and perhaps maybe I can get an oil change a little early. I don't need one for another, 700 miles probably, so I'll basically be, I don't think I'll be in Wyoming quite yet, but I'll be pretty close by the time that I'm like really, really yep, you're at your miles, you need to get an oil change. So that's good. I mean, the thing is, really, if you think about it, if I go ahead and get an oil change now, that's going to be good for a couple thousand miles. I'm going to need to get one, pretty soon after I get back. So I want to try to stretch it as much as I can. I think these Tacoma's rated, I don't know, I want to say maybe even a couple thousand miles over your next due oil change before you really, really need one. I'm not going to push my luck like that, just because I'm out, probably halfway through the United States at this point. I'm by myself. Help is several hours away, so probably not a good idea to try to push it, but I might give myself about 100 miles over or something like that, just so I can stretch that next oil change upon my return out as much as I can. Let's see, Moline, they want me to stay on 74 West, so I guess I'm going to keep hugging this road here, and I think that pretty soon we're passing the exit to take in Indianapolis, 474. I think we're going to pop back out into the country again, and we might see, more foliage, more built up areas with trees and stuff like that as we drive. But again, I won't be terribly surprised if I start passing more corn. Would not surprise me even a little bit. Just because after I've seen as much as I have, there has to be more. And there's a sign again for Kickapoo. I still think that's funny, Kickapoo. I actually drove over the Kickapoo, I want to say it was the river. It might have been the creek. It looked like a creek. It was tiny. But nonetheless, it did have Kickapoo in it, so I just thought that was funny. It's been a while since we've passed that, and I'm still seeing signs for it. So whatever leads into the park, the protected area, it must be pretty extensive and stretch, pretty far out into the state. Other than that, we're doing good. Drive-wise, everything's been great. Now that I'm kind of out of the monotony a little bit, I'm a little more awake. I haven't been super tired or anything. I got a full night's sleep last night. But I definitely have definitely have felt more awake than I did about an hour or two ago. But yeah, we're pretty early into the drive still. My original plan was to probably break for the evening in Nebraska, but this was before I actually got a full night's sleep. I got up early, I felt rested, so I don't know, we might kick it for a couple extra hours tonight and see where it gets us. I'd like to stay, obviously I've got to stay at a rest stop. The only way I would get myself to stay at a motel is if I'm on the verge of death in terms of exhaustion, and just with the amount of sleep I've gotten and how good I feel, I don't see that being the case anytime soon. It could change. I guess it could change. Again, pretty much the moral of this trip is to keep an open mind towards everything and just be willing to kind of take on each challenge as it comes. So, if 8 o'clock tonight rolls around and I'm like, oh my God, I've spent 12 hours in the car, I don't know if I can make it anymore. Hey, maybe I will look for a hotel to spend the night in instead of doing the rest stop. But we'll see. We just got to play it by ear. We've got plenty of time. I don't have any responsibilities. I don't have any reason to be back home anytime soon. So here's the town of Kickapoo. This isn't the park, this is the town. So that would be interesting. Where do you live? Oh, I'm from Kickapoo. Or, the irony in the situation could be that I don't even, maybe I'm not pronouncing it right, and it's like kick-a-hoo or something, and I'm just butchering it every time I say it, but I'm just reading it verbatim. It says kick-a-poo, so kick-a-poo, I don't know. I just think that's funny. That's my, grade school humor coming out, I guess. Yeah, there's kick-a-poo, and some guy next to me in an ATV. They're from Illinois, so I guess it's an interstate thing. I keep looking for other people that maybe might potentially be traveling. Now with school starting up again and stuff like that, I know that it's not very likely that people are gonna be traveling as extensively as they are in the summer. But it's nice to kind of look out and look for different plates. I saw a Pennsylvania plate. I think that's the only one that I've seen that hasn't matched the state I've been in thus far. But yeah, it'd be cool to see if there's anybody else that maybe looks like they're traveling long distance like I am. So we'll keep an eye out for that, and we'll just keep on cruising. And as promised, here's more corn everywhere. There's just corn nonstop. So that's where I'm going to cut the tape for now, and we'll see you again in a little bit.
Alright, so I am now in Des Moines. Didn't film very much of anything on the way through Iowa because there was nothing but corn to look at. So I decided to spare you the corn. There's just so much corn. It's insane. But yeah, you can see I'm outside of Burlington and Harbor Freight, Famous Footwear, and you can see all the dead bugs. I'm just outside of Des Moines city limits. I don't remember what the town's called, but I did stop to get lunch. It's only 4:30 here now. Yeah, I was hungry finally, and I've only used about a quarter tank of gas still, which is insane. But yeah, I had Chick-fil-A for lunch, and I'm gonna go probably clock a few more miles past the city, and then find one of those trucker kind of gas stations. I think I like those more. They're more bathroom friendly, anyways. But yeah, it's cloudy here. Again, I don't know how well the camera shows, but about an hour and a half ago, I would say, it started to get really cloudy, and it looked like a storm actually rolled in behind me somewhere, but it hasn't rained or anything. It's just been cloudy like this. I'm actually hoping for some rain now to clean my windshield off with, because I'm tired of using my my wiper fluid, because there's so many bugs. There's almost as many bugs as there are, corn. There's almost as many bugs as there is corn. But yeah, it's 4:30. I'm feeling pretty good. My knee got a little stiff, and I have to use the bathroom, but I'm gonna wait on both of those things for a little while, and I'm gonna try to make it to Nebraska, and then go from there and figure out what I'm gonna do. I got a check I need to deposit into my bank really quickly, and I need to call the bank and let them know I'm traveling. These are all things I should have done before I left, but it was such a spur of the moment kind of thing. I just didn't want to. I didn't want to wait around this morning. So yeah, cool. Everything's great, and I will have another update at some point, probably when I get to Nebraska. All right, it is 9:30 Nebraska time, which makes it, I guess, 10:30 at home. I'm only an hour behind. I finally pulled off for the night. It's not that I'm tired. It's just that I kept finding that rest stops were few and far between, and I just decided to stop at the first one I came across, and then start again in the morning. So yeah, I'm just off US 80. I don't know what rest stop I'm at or anything like that. I don't even know what I'm by. I just kind of pulled off as soon as I saw it come up. It's been a good trip so far. Nebraska was cool. Again, I didn't film very much because it was like looking at corn for the most part. Didn't drive through any cities or anything like that. Did get to see some cool like museums in passing. I tried to stop at like the Sac Museum, for instance, but it was closed. I came through Nebraska too late. Weird thing, I guess, is Nebraska at night, especially like in twilight, is just unbelievably creepy. I was super creeped out. It made Indiana look like a, I don't know, child's play, I guess, if you will, in terms of creepiness. I mean, there was just fog, and it was cloudy, and there was this weird glow, and just everything looked strange. It was like this bluish green color. It was very weird. Yeah, it was very weird. Cool to look at, I guess. I thought about filming it, but the one thing I do remember about filming on the GoPros is that the night quality is terrible. So like, you can't probably even see me very well right now laying down. I just didn't want to be like overly obvious filming myself in a parking lot. And there's not that many people here. They're mostly semis, and I don't know how well you can see, but there's semis and campers, another semi back there. So I'm a little nervous being the first night sleeping here. My car parked. Anybody can walk up and see me sleeping. Kind of creepy. Not a huge fan of that, so we'll see how it goes. Definitely homesick for my wife. That's probably the hardest thing for me right now. I want to go back. It's not that I'm not having fun. I feel like I would have a lot more fun with her here. I miss her a lot, and that's difficult, I guess. It's been hard. Especially, it wasn't so bad earlier. It didn't really get bad until, like, the idea of going to sleep and settling in for the night. And, like, as I kind of am, looking at my route and my drive time to come and stuff like that, I'm like, man, I'm doing all this alone, and my wife's not going to be here. So it kind of stinks, especially because I've got 5 more days of this ahead of me. It's gonna be tough. It's definitely gonna be tough. So we'll see how it goes. Other than that, I took my medicine for the night. I got my blanket, my pillow out. They're all set up and ready to go. I just got to put them on my seat, and I'm gonna lay back, and I'm gonna try to get some shut eye. I hope I can sleep tonight. Yeah, definitely hope I can sleep tonight. I just gotta let my phone charge a little bit longer. I'm at 46% battery because it is a piece of junk and it doesn't work very well. So yeah, I just gotta let that charge a little bit more, and as soon as I get that charged up, then I'll be shutting the car down and I'll be going to sleep for the night, or at least I hope I'll be going to sleep for the night. So we'll see. As far as like the route planning goes, I've got Colorado tomorrow. I'm driving through the mountains, which I think will be really cool. I'll definitely be able to get some cool video of that and maybe stop at a scenic spot or two. I think the plan is to try to get outside of the Tetons. There's a rest stop an hour away from the park. So the plan is about this time tomorrow night, hopefully I'll be at said rest stop so I can catch some sleep and then get there early the next morning and go hiking. We'll see how everything goes. Like I said, really definitely struggling without my wife here. I know it's embarrassing, but it's true. I miss her. It's not nearly as fun going on a trip without her here to kind of enjoy it and experience it with me. So like I said, we'll see how everything goes. That's been pretty much my repetitive motto this entire trip. We'll see how it goes, but we will. Yeah, so we'll see. Like I said, Colorado tomorrow morning, and hopefully to the Tetons tomorrow night. Been another night of sleep. So I'm gonna go ahead and shut the camera off and probably try to get some footage of entering Colorado tomorrow. Definitely in the mountains though, because like I said, I think that's gonna be cool. Maybe we'll get to see like some wildlife, or I don't know. It'll be cool. All right, that's all I got for tonight. Good night.